Tell me, have you ever felt like your dreams are just out of reach, no matter how hard you try? What if the reason you're stuck is all in your mind? I have often heard people say, I want something, but no matter how hard I try, it feels like I just can't manifest it. You may have asked yourself the same question. Why is it that I am still struggling? Why am I not seeing the results I desire? It is not uncommon for many to find themselves stuck in their current circumstances, feeling as though their goals are always just beyond their reach. But I am here to tell you that the reason you are stuck has nothing to do with external circumstances or some magical force that is keeping you from your desires. The truth is, the reason you are stuck is because of one simple yet profound truth. You are not fully utilizing the power of your own assumptions. The world, in its essence, is a reflection of the state of your mind. If you are seeing lack, limitation, and struggle, it is because you are consciously or unconsciously assuming that you are lacking in those areas. You are assuming that your desires are unattainable or that you are unworthy of them. You may have spent years focusing on your limitations, and as a result, that very focus has solidified those limitations into your reality. But here's the thing. Assumptions are the key to transformation. What you assume to be true about yourself and your world is exactly what you will experience. If you continue to assume that you are stuck or that your desires are out of reach, then your reality will continue to reflect that assumption. However, when you begin to assume the state of the person who already has what they desire, you begin to change your world from the inside out. At the core of this understanding lies one simple question. What are you assuming? If you are living in the state of lack or limitation, if you are constantly focused on what you don't have, your reality will continue to reflect that. On the other hand, if you begin to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, your reality will shift to match that assumption. This is not a matter of wishing for something and waiting for it to happen. It is about assuming that what you desire is already yours. You must live, think, and feel as though your desire is already a part of your current experience. Your thoughts and emotions are the magnets that attract the circumstances and people you need to bring your desires into manifestation. If you want to manifest a new job, for example, you must begin to assume that you are already in your ideal job, acting, thinking, and feeling as though you have already achieved that goal. The struggle that many people face when it comes to manifestation is that they often remain focused on what they lack. They may think about their desires, but still hold on to feelings of doubt, fear, or disbelief. This is where the power of assumption comes into play. To manifest what you want, you must assume that your desire is already yours and live in that assumption as though it is a fact. You must feel the reality of your desire already fulfilled. This feeling is not just a mental exercise, it is an emotional and sensory experience. When you feel what it would be like to have what you desire, your subconscious mind accepts that reality as true, and it begins to rearrange your outer world to match it. Your assumptions begin to take root in your subconscious mind, which in turn influences your thoughts, behaviors, and actions. You start to make decisions from the state of having, and this leads to opportunities and experiences that align with your assumption. For instance, if you are seeking financial abundance, simply thinking about money is not enough. If you are constantly thinking about how much you need money or how hard it is to achieve financial success, you are reinforcing a state of lack and limitation. Instead, you must focus on the feeling of already having financial abundance. You must imagine yourself living in the state of prosperity, imagining the freedom and peace that comes with it. You must live as though you are already wealthy, even if your current situation does not reflect that reality. By doing this, you send a clear message to your subconscious mind that this is your reality, and the world will begin to shift to meet your assumptions. This is the foundation of the law of assumption. Your assumptions shape your reality. When you assume something to be true, your mind begins to look for ways to prove that assumption correct. This is not about wishful thinking. It is about assuming with certainty and confidence that your desire is already fulfilled. It is about stepping into the emotional and mental state of the person who already has what they want. When you assume from this place, you activate the power of your subconscious mind to bring your desires into being. It is not about forcing anything to happen. It is about aligning yourself with a state that already exists in your mind. The universe has no choice but to reflect your assumptions back to you. However, many people face resistance when it comes to changing their assumptions. They may feel that their desires are too far out of reach, or that their current circumstances are too deeply ingrained to change. This is where most people get stuck. They fail to realize that assumption is not a passive activity. It requires active participation. You must not only think about your desire, but live in it. You must constantly redirect your focus back to the assumption that your desire is already true, regardless of what your current circumstances may be telling you. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, your assumptions will no longer feel like a mental exercise, but a natural part of your reality. The truth is, you are never stuck. You are simply unaware of the power of your assumptions. You may have allowed yourself to be influenced by doubt, fear, or past experiences, but these are just mental patterns that can be changed. The moment you decide to change your assumption, everything begins to shift. You are the creator of your reality, and your assumptions are the blueprint that will shape your world. All you need to do is step into the role of the person who already has what they desire and live from that state. This is not about waiting for something to happen. It is about becoming the person who naturally attracts what they want. The world is yours to create, and it begins with the assumption that what you desire is already yours. So ask yourself today, what are you assuming? What state are you living in? The power to manifest your desires is within you, and it all starts with the assumption that your dreams are already fulfilled. When you live from this place, you will see the world around you begin to change. You may often find yourself wondering why, despite your best efforts, your desires continue to elude you. You've tried everything, visualizations, affirmations, and perhaps even working hard toward your goal, but the results seem slow or non-existent. The truth is, many of you are still failing to unlock the one key that can transform your life: your assumptions. The law of assumption dictates that what you assume to be true about yourself and your world is exactly what you will experience. If your assumption is that your desires are unattainable, then that assumption becomes your reality. But what if I told you that shifting your assumptions could radically change your experience? At the core of manifestation lies the power of assumption. Most people go through life assuming that their current circumstances are fixed, and therefore their future is shaped by these limitations. But the law of assumption shows us that this couldn't be further from the truth. Your assumptions about who you are and what you can achieve are the very things that are holding you back. They dictate how you perceive the world and how you interact with it. The reality you see is not a reflection of objective truth, but rather a reflection of your internal assumptions about the world and yourself. When you focus on what you don't have, when you focus on lack or limitation, you are simply reinforcing the assumption that you are a person who is incapable of having what you desire. You may tell yourself, I want to be successful, but if you truly examine your thoughts and beliefs, you may find that you subconsciously assume that success is for others, not for you. Perhaps you think that success requires too much effort or that you don't deserve it. These assumptions are powerful. In fact, they are so powerful that they are the very reasons why your desires are not manifesting. Your thoughts and beliefs are a reflection of the assumptions you've accepted, and those assumptions shape your actions, emotions, and even your environment. Now, what most people fail to understand is that assumption is not a passive process. It is an active, deliberate act of creation. It requires you to live as though your desires have already manifested. This means that you must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The emotional experience of having what you desire is key to changing your assumptions and consequently your reality. The person who has what you want is already living from a place of certainty, belief, and fulfillment. To manifest your desires, you must begin to live from that same place, regardless of what your current circumstances are telling you. For example, if your goal is to attract a new relationship, simply thinking about it is not enough. If you think about love and yet still feel lonely or unworthy, you are reinforcing the assumption that love is not yet in your life. Instead, you must assume the feeling of being in a loving, fulfilling relationship now. You must live and feel as though you are already in that relationship, experiencing all the emotions and joy that come with it. The more you embody that feeling, the more your subconscious mind will accept it as your new reality. Your assumptions will begin to shift, and eventually, your outer circumstances will conform to reflect this new internal state. One of the most common blocks that people experience when trying to manifest is the feeling of doubt. It's easy to assume the worst when faced with setbacks or when things don't seem to be moving forward. But doubt, like any other belief, is an assumption and it can be changed. You are not bound by the doubts that arise in your mind. Instead, you can choose to assume the opposite, that your desire is already fulfilled, that everything is working out in your favor. When you make this assumption, you are opening the door for the universe to bring forth the experiences, opportunities, and circumstances that will support that assumption. To begin with, you must learn to master your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are merely reflections of your past beliefs and assumptions. But you have the power to change them. It takes practice and awareness. But once you realize that you are the creator of your reality, you can begin to consciously direct your thoughts toward what you want to create. Each time you think about your desire, ask yourself, what assumption am I holding right now? Are you assuming that your desire is impossible? Are you assuming that it's too difficult or that it's not meant for you? These are the assumptions that need to be rewritten. The more you assume that your desire is already yours, the more it will manifest in your life. Another important aspect of assumption is that it is persistent. Manifestation is not always instant, but that does not mean that it is not working. Your thoughts and beliefs need time to penetrate your subconscious mind, and that takes persistence. You cannot expect results if you are only assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled sporadically. You must live in that assumption every day. Whenever doubt or fear arises, redirect your focus to the assumption that your desire is already a part of your reality. Over time, your subconscious will begin to reprogram itself, and your external circumstances will begin to shift. You must also recognize that assumption is the foundation of action. Many people mistakenly believe that they need to work hard and strive for success. But the truth is that when you live from the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, your actions will naturally align with that assumption. You will be guided to the right opportunities, the right people, and the right circumstances. You will be more confident in taking action because you know that your assumption is already shaping your reality. Most importantly, you must understand that assumption is a state of being. It is not about merely thinking about something or wishing for it. It is about fully embodying the state of having what you desire. When you assume that you are already the person who has what you want, you naturally begin to think, act, and feel as that person. Your life, your circumstances, and your experiences will all begin to reflect the state of being that you have assumed. In essence, the law of assumption is about understanding the power that lies within you to create your reality. You are not a victim of your circumstances, you are the creator. The assumptions you hold about yourself, your desires, and the world are the building blocks of your reality. If you want to manifest something different, you must change the assumptions you have been living by. You must live as though your desires are already yours, and your reality will transform to match that assumption. Remember, you are the operant power in your life. Your assumptions are the key to unlocking the life you truly want to live. When you set out to manifest something, many of you may find yourselves stumped by the same challenge: how to overcome the manifestation blocks that arise along the way. Despite your best efforts, despite your most sincere desire to manifest the life you want, you may feel like you're facing an invisible barrier that holds you back. But here's the truth: those blocks you perceive are not something external that you need to overcome, but rather something internal, something within your own assumptions and beliefs. These blocks are the natural result of misalignment between your conscious desires and your deeper, often unconscious assumptions. If you want to manifest with ease, the key is to first identify and shift those manifestation blocks that are rooted in limiting beliefs. It all begins with an understanding of how your mind works. Every single thought you have sends a signal to your subconscious mind, which in turn shapes your reality. These subconscious beliefs are the assumptions you've built over time based on past experiences, conditioning, and societal programming. They act as filters through which you view the world. If you've ever encountered a manifestation block, it is often because you are holding an assumption that is in direct conflict with the reality you wish to create. For example, you may desire wealth, but simultaneously hold an assumption that money is difficult to come by, that it is scarce, or that you are unworthy of financial abundance. This assumption prevents the manifestation of wealth because your mind is working in alignment with the assumption of lack rather than abundance. These manifestation blocks can be subtle or overt, but they are always tied to your thoughts and beliefs. One of the most common blocks is the belief that manifesting takes time or requires effort. This belief alone can slow down or prevent your manifestations because it subtly reinforces the assumption that things must be hard, that they must require struggle. When you hold on to the assumption that manifestation requires a great deal of work, you are preventing the effortless flow of your desires into your life. The process of manifestation is not one of forcing things into being, but rather of aligning your inner state with the reality you wish to experience. If you assume that things must be hard, you will unconsciously make decisions and take actions that create resistance, further reinforcing the idea that things must be difficult. Another common block is the fear of failure. Many of you may hold deep-seated fears that your desires will never come to fruition or that you are not capable of achieving them. These fears are a direct reflection of your assumptions about your worthiness and ability to receive. When you believe that you are not deserving of what you desire, you are essentially affirming that you are not the person who can have those things. The fear of failure keeps you locked in the assumption that your goals are unattainable. This fear can also manifest as procrastination or self-sabotage. If you're afraid that things won't work out, you might avoid taking the necessary actions to move forward, and that only reinforces the belief that your desires are out of reach. At the root of these manifestation blocks is often doubt. Doubt can be a very powerful force, as it directly conflicts with the assumption that your desires are already yours. When you doubt the possibility of your manifestation, you are holding on to the belief that your desires are too far out of reach or that you are incapable of manifesting them. The more you entertain doubts, the stronger they become, and the more they prevent your desires from coming into being. Doubt can often be accompanied by impatience, as you look for external evidence that your desires are materializing. When you do not see immediate results, you may begin to question whether your assumptions are working, and that doubt sends a signal to your subconscious that your desires are still far away. To overcome these manifestation blocks, you must first identify them. What assumptions do you hold that are in conflict with your desires? Do you believe that money is hard to come by, or that you are not capable of attracting the right opportunities? Do you hold the assumption that success is reserved for others, but not for you? Once you identify these limiting beliefs, you can begin to replace them with more empowering assumptions. The key is to shift your focus and redirect your thoughts to the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. If you are trying to manifest a new job, for example, begin to assume that the job you desire is already yours. Live as though you are already employed in that position. Think about how you would feel on your first day at work, how your coworkers would treat you, and how the environment would feel. Assume the feelings of fulfillment, joy, and success, and your subconscious will begin to align with that assumption. One powerful way to break through manifestation blocks is to practice feeling the wish fulfilled. Feel as though you have already received what you desire. This feeling is a potent force that bypasses the conscious mind and speaks directly to the subconscious. When you immerse yourself in the emotional experience of having what you want, your subconscious mind begins to accept that reality as truth. The more you practice this emotional assumption, the more it becomes ingrained in your subconscious, and your outer world begins to shift to reflect it. It is also important to recognize that consistency is key. Manifestation is not about occasional bursts of positive thinking or visualization. It's about consistently living in the assumption that your desire is already yours. Every time doubt or fear arises, gently redirect your focus back to your assumption that you are already the person who has what you want. The more persistent you are in holding this assumption, the more easily your desires will begin to materialize. Another way to dissolve manifestation blocks is to take inspired action. Inspired action is the action you feel compelled to take from the state of your desire already fulfilled. It is not action driven by desperation or force, but action that arises naturally when you are aligned with your desired reality. This action will often come as a sudden idea, an impulse, or an intuitive nudge. When you are in alignment with your assumptions, your actions will be in harmony with your desires, and you will move effortlessly toward your goals. The most important lesson to remember is that your assumptions are the key to breaking through manifestation blocks. When you shift your assumptions about yourself and your desires, you create a new reality. The world around you is not fixed, but rather is a reflection of the assumptions you hold. If you want to manifest something different, you must change the way you are assuming. The more you embrace the assumption that your desires are already fulfilled, the more quickly those desires will manifest into your physical reality. Take control of your assumptions today and watch as the manifestation blocks dissolve and your desires come to life. The process of manifesting with Neville Goddard's method requires more than just thinking positively or visualizing the life you want. It demands an understanding of the deepest layers of your consciousness and a fundamental shift in the way you view yourself and your desires. You may have heard the phrase, thoughts become things, but have you ever truly grasped the depth of this concept? The reality you experience is not shaped by what happens to you, but by what you consistently imagine and assume to be true about yourself and the world around you. To manifest with ease, you must first recognize that imagination is the starting point of all creation. Imagination is far more than a fleeting thought or daydream. It is the creative power that shapes your entire existence. When you begin to accept this truth, you start to realize that the key to manifesting what you want lies not in external circumstances, but in your ability to vividly imagine and embody the reality you wish to experience. Every desire you have, whether it is for love, wealth, success, or health, has already been formed in your imagination. The world of your imagination is just as real as the world you can see with your physical eyes. And everything that exists in your life right now has been created through your imagination, even if you were unaware of it at the time. To manifest with the method that has been passed down through countless teachings, you must understand that your imagination is not just a tool, it is the very blueprint of your reality. Everything you desire has already been created in the mind of your subconscious. All you need to do is assume the state of the wish fulfilled. Embody that state fully and allow your imagination to guide you toward the manifestation of that reality. This is where many people go wrong. They desire something, but they remain in a state of doubt or disbelief, unsure of whether it will really come to pass. When you remain in a state of doubt, you are actually reinforcing the belief that what you want is separate from you. The key is to feel the reality of your desire now. One of the most powerful aspects of manifesting through imagination is the feeling that accompanies the thought. When you vividly imagine your desire, you must not only see it in your mind's eye, but you must feel it as though it is already real. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the emotional currency that your subconscious responds to. If you imagine yourself living in a beautiful home, for example, you don't just visualize the house. You feel what it would be like to walk through the front door, to feel the warmth of the rooms, to experience the joy of being in that space. The emotional resonance of the experience is what activates the subconscious mind and begins to bring that reality into form. The more you practice feeling the emotions associated with your desire, the more you will find yourself drawn to the circumstances and actions that will lead you to manifest your wish. Imagination and assumption go hand in hand. It is not enough to simply imagine your desire without assuming that it is already yours. You must live from the assumption that your desire is already a reality. This does not mean that you need to wait for the physical evidence of your desire before assuming it. In fact, it is the assumption of the wish fulfilled that creates the conditions for that desire to materialize in the first place. Your assumption must be firm, unwavering, and filled with conviction. The moment you assume that your desire is already yours, you begin to change your internal state, and your outer world will begin to shift in alignment with that assumption. Your imagination is the key that unlocks the door to the life you desire, but it requires consistent practice and belief. Every time doubt creeps in, you must return to the assumption of the wish fulfilled. You must live as though you have already received what you desire, not as someone who is hoping for it or waiting for it. The assumption that it is already yours is the energetic frequency that pulls your desires into being. If you remain in a state of wishing or wanting, you are reinforcing the idea that your desires are not yet with you, and so they remain out of reach. Instead, take on the assumption that it is already done, and feel the satisfaction, joy, and fulfillment of having it right now. Another critical element in this method is surrendering to the process. This does not mean giving up or resigning yourself to fate, but rather allowing the natural flow of the universe to bring your desires to you. Many people make the mistake of trying to control every detail of how their desires will manifest. They try to figure out the exact steps they need to take, the exact timing or the exact people who will play a role in their manifestation. This kind of overthinking or striving often blocks the natural flow of manifestation. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you must trust that the universe will bring it to you in the best way possible, even if it is not how you imagined it. The form that your desire takes may be different from what you initially envisioned, but trust that it will be just as fulfilling, if not more so. Feeling is the secret to unlocking your desires. When you imagine your goal, you must do more than just picture it. You must embody the feeling of having it now. Imagine what it feels like to be in the place you wish to be in, to have the things you desire, and to experience the emotions that come with those desires. Your feelings are the bridge between your conscious desires and your subconscious mind. When you align your emotions with your imagination, you create a powerful force that accelerates the manifestation process. To manifest with this method, you must understand that imagination is not an idle process. It is a living, breathing energy that can create the reality you desire when used properly. When you start to live in the assumption of your desire already being fulfilled, when you feel the emotional experience of having it, your reality will begin to shift to match that assumption. This is not magic, it is the natural law of how the mind works. As you continue to assume the state of having, your actions, thoughts, and decisions will begin to align with that state, and you will be led down the path that brings your desires into your life. You have the power to manifest anything you desire, and that power lies within your imagination and your ability to assume that your desire is already yours. When you combine imagination with the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you create a potent force that will bring your desires into physical form. Practice this method daily and allow yourself to feel the emotions of your desires already being realized. Trust in the process, trust in your own power, and watch as your life transforms in accordance with the assumptions you hold. The power to create your own reality lies not in the external world, but in your mindset for manifestation. Your mindset determines the experiences you attract into your life, and it is often the key factor that differentiates those who manifest their desires with ease and those who struggle to see any progress. To manifest what you desire, you must first shift your mindset to align with the reality you wish to create. It is not enough to simply wish for something or hope that it will come to you. You must change the way you think, feel, and perceive the world. This shift in mindset is not an overnight process, but a transformation that requires dedication, persistence, and awareness. Your mindset is shaped by the beliefs you hold about yourself and the world. These beliefs are the assumptions that you operate from each day, and they form the lens through which you view your life. If you have a belief that you are unworthy of success or that opportunities are limited, then those beliefs will create a reality where you struggle to achieve your goals. If you believe that your desires are impossible or out of reach, your actions will align with that belief, and you will find yourself taking little to no action toward your dreams. The reality you experience is a reflection of the assumptions and beliefs you hold in your mind. Therefore, to manifest your desires, you must first identify the limiting beliefs that are preventing you from achieving your goals. The key to shifting your mindset is recognizing that your thoughts create your reality. If you constantly think about what you don't have or focus on what's missing, you are reinforcing the belief that you are lacking something. This is a common mistake that many people make when trying to manifest their desires. They focus on the lack of what they want, and by doing so, they attract more of that lack into their lives. In order to manifest your desires, you must shift your focus to what you already have and to the reality that you want to create. It is not about ignoring your current circumstances, but about changing your internal dialogue to reflect the life you want to live. If you focus on the feeling of already having what you desire, you begin to align your mindset with the reality of having it, and that is when the manifestation process begins. To transform your mindset for manifestation, it is essential to cultivate a mindset of abundance. Abundance is not just about money or material wealth. It is about recognizing that there is an unlimited supply of everything you could ever need or desire. When you adopt a mindset of abundance, you begin to see opportunities and possibilities where others see obstacles and limitations. Abundance is a mindset that allows you to feel confident and worthy of receiving all the good that life has to offer. By adopting this mindset, you begin to attract more opportunities, more wealth, and more success, because you are operating from a belief that there is always more than enough for you to receive. Another important aspect of shifting your mindset for manifestation is the need to release limiting beliefs. These beliefs are often deeply ingrained and may have been formed over years of conditioning or past experiences. Limiting beliefs are thoughts such as, "I'm not good enough," "I don't deserve success," "I'll never be able to afford that," or "I'm not capable of achieving my goals." These beliefs create a mental block that prevents you from moving forward and manifesting your desires. The good news is that limiting beliefs can be replaced. Once you recognize a limiting belief, you can consciously choose to replace it with a new, empowering belief. For example, if you have a belief that money is hard to come by, you can replace it with the belief that money flows easily and abundantly into your life. When you begin to consistently think in alignment with your new belief, your mindset shifts, and the manifestation process becomes much smoother. To shift your mindset, you must also practice self-belief. Self-belief is the foundation of all manifestation. If you do not believe that you are worthy of your desires or that you are capable of achieving them, your mindset will remain stuck in a place of limitation. When you believe in yourself, you automatically align with the mindset of someone who is capable of achieving great things. Self-belief is the belief that you have the ability to create the life you want, and it's a mindset that allows you to take bold, confident actions toward your goals. When you believe in yourself, you trust that the universe is on your side and that every opportunity you need to manifest your desires is already on its way to you. An essential part of cultivating a powerful mindset for manifestation is to adopt a mindset of gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance, and it opens the door for more blessings to flow into your life. When you are grateful for what you already have, you are acknowledging that there is enough in your life to be thankful for. Gratitude helps to raise your vibration and aligns you with the energy of abundance. When you practice gratitude, you are essentially saying to the universe, I am open to receiving more of what I desire. Gratitude helps you to see the good in every situation. And when you focus on what you are grateful for, you attract more of those things into your life. In addition to gratitude, you must take inspired action to move toward your goals. Manifestation is not just about thinking positively or imagining your desires. It is also about acting in alignment with your goals. When you shift your mindset, you begin to take action that is inspired by the belief that your desires are already on their way to you. Inspired action is action that feels effortless, natural, and aligned with your vision. It is not forced or strained, but flows from the confidence that your desires are already yours. When you take inspired action, you are signaling to the universe that you are ready to receive what you desire. And the universe responds by bringing you the people, opportunities, and resources you need to make it happen. To strengthen your mindset for manifestation, you must also practice patience and trust. Many people become frustrated when their desires do not manifest immediately. But manifestation is a process that takes time. Trusting the process and being patient allows you to remain in a state of belief and expectancy. When you trust that your desires are already on their way to you, you maintain a mindset of confidence and abundance, and that is when your desires begin to flow effortlessly into your life. Your mindset for manifestation is the foundation of your ability to create the life you desire. By shifting your beliefs, adopting a mindset of abundance, practicing gratitude, and taking inspired action, you begin to align with the reality you wish to create. Your mindset is the lens through which you view the world, and when you change the way you think, you change the reality you experience. The more you practice these principles, the more natural it becomes to manifest your desires with ease and confidence. Your mindset shapes your reality. So take control of it and watch as your dreams become your reality. When you step into the process of manifestation, one of the most profound realizations you will have is that manifesting with Neville Goddard's method is not about external forces or waiting for the perfect time. It is about the profound shift within your own consciousness, your internal state of being. The method revolves around the deep understanding that you are the creator of your reality. This is not a passive role, it is an active one. You have the power to shape the events, people, and opportunities that show up in your life by adjusting your inner world. You are not a victim of your circumstances. Instead, you are the one who determines your experience. This understanding is the foundation for the method of manifestation. You must first change your internal state, your assumptions, your beliefs, and your thoughts before you see the external changes you desire. Many people believe that change comes only when their circumstances change. However, the truth is that the world you experience is a direct reflection of what you believe to be true. Your thoughts and beliefs are the filters through which you view the world. And those beliefs shape your actions, your experiences, and the opportunities that show up for you. The first step in manifesting with this method is to assume the state of your desire already fulfilled. It is not about hoping, wishing, or waiting for something to happen. Instead, it is about consciously assuming that your desire is already a part of your reality. You must live from the assumption that your desire has already been fulfilled. And from that place, everything you do, think, and feel will align with that assumption. This is not just wishful thinking. It is about creating a mental and emotional state where you embody the feeling of your desire being realized. When you assume the state of the wish fulfilled, you do not just think about what you want, you live it. You feel it in your bones. If you desire a new job, you do not just think about what that job would look like. You feel what it would be like to walk into that office, to receive the offer, to feel the satisfaction of accomplishing what you set out to do. You must step into the experience as though it is already happening. And when you do this consistently, your subconscious mind begins to accept this as your new reality. Your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions align with the assumption that your desire is already yours. And this alignment begins to shift your external circumstances. The method of manifestation requires you to embrace the emotional experience of having what you want now. The feeling of your desire fulfilled is the key to unlocking the manifestation process. You can visualize your goal all day long, but if you do not fully feel it in your body, in your heart, then the manifestation cannot take place. The emotional resonance is what communicates with the subconscious mind and tells it to rearrange the outer world to match your internal state. The more vividly you can imagine and feel what it is like to already have your desire, the faster the manifestation process will unfold. One common mistake that people make is to focus too heavily on the when of manifestation. They focus on the timeline, wondering when their desires will come to pass, and they lose sight of the present moment. The truth is, time is an illusion. The only time that truly exists is the present moment. And in this moment, you can decide to embody the state of your desire already fulfilled. The moment you decide to live from this assumption, your external circumstances begin to change. You do not need to know exactly when your desires will materialize because you are already living as though they are true. The more you practice assuming the state of your fulfilled desire, the sooner it will be reflected back to you in your physical reality. In this process, doubt is your greatest enemy. Doubt comes in many forms, and often it can be subtle. It might show up as thoughts like, "I hope this works," or "I'm not sure this is possible for me." These thoughts are signals that you are not fully embodying the state of the wish fulfilled. They show that you are still living from the assumption that your desires are not yet a part of your reality. The key to overcoming doubt is to persist in the assumption that your desire is already yours, no matter what your current circumstances may be. When doubt arises, redirect your thoughts and emotions back to the assumption of your desire being fulfilled. You are the creator, and your assumption is the law that governs your reality. Manifestation is a process of feeling and belief, not just thinking and wishing. You must believe that your desire is already a part of your reality, and you must act as though it is. This does not mean forcing things to happen or trying to make things work out through sheer willpower. It means being in alignment with your desire from the inside out. It means acting from the assumption that your desire is already here. And when you live from that assumption, you will find that opportunities begin to present themselves, that you meet the right people, and that the path toward your desire unfolds naturally. Your assumption will also direct your actions. You do not need to know every step to take, but when you live from the assumption that your desire is fulfilled, you will be guided to the right action. When you live from the state of the wish fulfilled, you will be drawn to opportunities that align with your vision, and you will take inspired action toward your goals. Inspired action is not forced. It flows naturally from the state of being that you are embodying. The manifestation process is not about waiting for something to happen. It is about becoming the person who already has what they desire. It is about shifting your internal state and living from that place, regardless of external circumstances. When you do this consistently, you will see that the world begins to reflect your inner state. You will see the changes you desire appear in your life as though they were always meant to be. The method is simple. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Live as though it is already true, and persist in that assumption no matter what your current circumstances may be. This process is not about controlling the external world. It is about mastering your inner world, aligning your thoughts, feelings, and actions with your desires. The more you practice this, the more naturally it will become, and you will begin to see the world around you shift in accordance with your assumptions. You are the creator of your reality, and your assumptions shape the world you experience. When you begin the journey of manifesting your desires, it becomes evident that assumption is the driving force behind the creation of your reality. One of the key factors that allows you to manifest effortlessly is the ability to assume the state of the wish fulfilled. This concept goes far beyond simple positive thinking or wishful desires. It is about a deep, profound shift in your consciousness that allows you to experience your desire as already being real, even before it has materialized in your external world. This method relies on the idea that your assumption shapes your experience. And it is this assumption that opens the door for the universe to align the conditions necessary for your desires to manifest. The first step to fully grasping the power of assumption is to recognize that everything that exists in your life is a result of your assumptions about yourself, others, and the world around you. These assumptions are the beliefs, perceptions, and expectations you hold within your mind about how life works and what you are capable of receiving. If you walk through life assuming that things are difficult, that success is rare, or that happiness is something reserved for others, you will find that those very beliefs shape your reality. On the other hand, if you assume that abundance, love, and success are natural extensions of who you are, your reality will begin to reflect that assumption. Assumption goes beyond mere visualization. Visualization is one step, but assumption is living as though it is already done. It is not merely picturing your desire in your mind, but it is about feeling and living as though it is already true, right here, right now. This means that if your desire is to experience financial abundance, you must not only visualize yourself living in prosperity, but you must assume the feeling of financial security as though it already exists in your life. You live from the assumption that your financial goals are already a reality. This internal state of being is what allows the external world to rearrange itself to match that internal assumption. It is essential to understand that the subconscious mind is the mechanism through which this process works. Your subconscious mind is like fertile soil, and the seeds you plant in it are the assumptions you consistently hold. If you continuously assume that you are deserving of wealth, health, love, or success, your subconscious mind will accept this assumption as truth and begin to manifest the conditions that support it. The more vividly you can imagine and feel your desire as though it is already fulfilled, the more easily the subconscious will bring that reality into your physical world. What most people do not realize is that it is not the external conditions that need to change, but rather it is the internal assumption that must shift. The external world is simply a mirror of your inner world. This is why it is so important to consistently assume the state of the wish fulfilled. If you are waiting for things in your outer world to change before you assume the state of fulfillment, you are blocking the very flow of manifestation. Instead, you must first live as though your desire is already a part of your life, even if there is no external evidence to support it. This is the true power of assumption, the ability to create your desired reality by assuming it is already true. The challenge for many people is to overcome doubt. Doubt is the greatest enemy of assumption, because it disrupts the alignment between your inner world and your external reality. When you doubt, you assume the opposite of your desire, and this creates resistance. For example, if you desire a new job, but you constantly doubt that you are qualified, deserving, or capable, your assumption will be that the job is not for you, and the universe will mirror that doubt. Doubt tells your subconscious mind that your desire is unattainable, and so it prevents the manifestation from taking place. The way to overcome doubt is through persistent assumption. This means that even when you are faced with external evidence that seems to contradict your desire, you continue to live and think as though your desire is already fulfilled. Persistence in your assumption, no matter what is happening in your outer world, is the key. If you want to manifest financial abundance, but your current bank balance is far from where you want it to be, you must persist in the assumption that you are already financially abundant. You live and feel as though you have all the wealth you need, and you begin to act from that state, making decisions and taking actions that align with abundance. By consistently doing this, your subconscious mind begins to align with that assumption, and the universe begins to bring the circumstances into your life that match your new state of being. Another important element of assumption is feeling. It is not enough to merely think about your desire. You must fully immerse yourself in the emotional experience of having it now. Feeling is the key to the subconscious mind. The more vividly you can feel the emotions of having your desire, the more quickly it will manifest. If you desire a loving relationship, feel the warmth, love, and connection of being with your ideal partner right now. Imagine the joy and fulfillment you would experience if you were already in that relationship, and live in those feelings. The emotional experience of your desire is what convinces the subconscious that it is already a part of your reality. This method of manifestation is not about striving or forcing your desires to come true. It is about living from the end being the realization of your desire. You do not need to figure out how your desires will manifest, because when you live from the state of assumption, the how will naturally reveal itself. Your job is not to control the manifestation process, but to embody the state of already having what you desire. When you do this, the universe will bring the necessary people, opportunities, and circumstances to you in perfect timing. To truly harness the power of assumption, it is important to trust the process. Trust that when you live in the state of fulfillment, your desires are already on their way to you. Trust that your assumption is the law of your reality, and that the world will rearrange itself to reflect your inner world. The more you trust in this process, the more natural and effortless manifestation becomes. When you stop doubting and start assuming with confidence, you create the conditions for your desires to effortlessly materialize. Remember, the key to manifesting your desires lies in your ability to assume the state of the wish fulfilled. Your assumption is the powerful force that shapes your reality. When you consistently assume the reality you wish to experience, the external world will begin to conform to your inner state. Through assumption, you are not only changing your mind, but changing your entire life. The power is within you, and the reality you desire is already yours to claim. The power of assumption is an incredible force that governs the way you shape your reality. It's not merely about thinking positively or visualizing what you want. It is about understanding the foundational truth that your internal assumptions directly affect your external world. Your thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions create the conditions that manifest into the physical reality you experience. But the power of assumption is not just an abstract concept. It is a dynamic, practical tool you can use to transform your life. To truly understand the power of assumption, you must first recognize that your assumptions are the blueprint for everything you experience. Each day you are constantly making assumptions about the world around you, about your ability to succeed, about your worthiness, about the circumstances you are in. These assumptions often go unnoticed, and yet they are actively shaping your reality. If you assume that you are capable of achieving your goals, that money flows to you with ease, or that love is abundant, these assumptions will begin to materialize into your world. On the other hand, if you assume that opportunities are scarce, that you are unworthy of success, or that things are always difficult, then those assumptions will become your reality as well. The world is not inherently good or bad. It simply reflects the assumptions you hold. One of the most important aspects of using the power of assumption effectively is to align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the assumption that your desires are already fulfilled. This is where many people get stuck. They may think about what they want or even visualize it, but they do not live in the assumption that it is already done. They remain in a state of want, wishing for something to come into their lives, instead of living as though it is already part of their reality. This discrepancy between their internal state and their external actions causes resistance and slows down the manifestation process. To manifest your desires using the power of assumption, you must first assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is the key. It is not enough to simply think about what you want. You must feel the reality of your desire in your body as if it is already true. For example, if you desire a new home, you must not just think about the house or visualize it. You must embody the feeling of already living in that home. Feel the joy, the peace, the comfort that comes with being in your new space. Imagine the satisfaction of knowing that it is already yours. By immersing yourself in the emotional experience of having your desire now, you begin to align your subconscious mind with the assumption that it has already been realized. And when your subconscious mind accepts this assumption, it will begin to bring that reality into your physical experience. This emotional connection to your desire is crucial. You cannot simply think about it casually. You must emotionally invest in it. Your emotions send powerful signals to your subconscious, and it is your subconscious that governs the manifestation process. If you feel the reality of your desire, your subconscious will begin to search for ways to bring it into being. This feeling does not have to be based on external evidence. In fact, it is often the lack of external evidence that makes it most powerful. The key is that you feel the desire is real and true, and this emotional belief sets the process in motion. Once you have assumed the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you must then persist in that assumption. This is where many people falter. They may assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled for a moment, but when they do not immediately see results, they give up and return to their old way of thinking. They start to doubt, and doubt is the enemy of manifestation. The key to unlocking the power of assumption is persistence. You must persist in the belief that your desire is already realized, even in the face of contrary evidence. It is your persistence in the assumption that shifts the energy around your desire and eventually brings it into your physical world. The process of manifestation requires trust in the natural order of things. Many people think that manifestation is about controlling circumstances or trying to force outcomes. But this is not the case. When you assume the state of the wish fulfilled, you are not forcing anything. You are simply aligning yourself with the natural flow of life. And when you do so, opportunities, people, and circumstances that align with your assumption will naturally come into your experience. The universe will begin to conspire to bring your assumption into reality. You do not need to know how or when your desire will manifest. You simply need to trust that the assumption itself is the creative force. One of the most powerful aspects of using the power of assumption is the ability to shift your assumptions at will. Your assumptions are not fixed. They are flexible and can be changed at any time. If you are currently living with assumptions that limit your success or happiness, you can change those assumptions today. It is entirely within your power to decide what you assume about yourself and the world around you. If you assume that you are always in the right place at the right time, that opportunities come to you effortlessly, or that you are worthy of success, those assumptions will begin to shape your reality. The key is to identify the assumptions you are holding, consciously decide to change them, and then live as though your new assumptions are already true. For example, if you have been holding the assumption that you are not good enough to achieve your goals, you can change that assumption by consciously deciding that you are more than capable. Once you make that shift, you must start living as though you already believe in your ability to succeed. This might mean taking small actions that reflect this new belief, such as speaking positively about your abilities or pursuing opportunities that you once thought were out of reach. The more you live in alignment with your new assumption, the more your life will begin to reflect that belief. You are not waiting for external conditions to change. You are creating the change from within. It is also important to remember that manifestation is not about effort or struggle. The power of assumption works with ease when you are aligned with your desires. If you are pushing hard, forcing things to happen, or trying to make things work, you are actually creating resistance. When you assume the state of the wish fulfilled, it feels natural, easy, and effortless. The universe responds to your assumption by bringing opportunities and situations that support it. Your role is not to struggle or control, it is to assume and allow. In essence, the power of assumption is the most powerful tool you have at your disposal to create the life you desire. When you understand that your assumptions shape your reality, you realize that you have the ability to create anything you want. The key is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, persist in that assumption, and trust in the natural unfolding of your desires. The more you practice this, the more your reality will transform to align with your new assumptions. Your internal world is the blueprint for your external world, and by mastering the power of assumption, you are truly mastering the art of creation. In conclusion, the journey of manifestation is deeply rooted in the understanding that you are the creator of your reality. The power lies not in external circumstances, but within your own mind. By embracing the principles of assumption, you unlock the ability to shape your world. Your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions are not mere reflections of the world you experience. They are the very forces that create it. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and persist in that assumption, you align yourself with the natural flow of the universe, and the conditions for your desires to manifest are set in motion. The key to successful manifestation is in your ability to consistently assume the state of your desires already being true, to feel as though what you want is already part of your reality, and to trust the process. Persistence, belief, and emotional engagement are the keys that transform assumptions into tangible results. As you change your internal state, the world around you begins to shift to reflect that new reality. You are not bound by your current circumstances. You have the power to redefine your experience by choosing the assumptions that serve your desires. Remember, manifestation is not about forcing things to happen, but about aligning your inner world with the reality you wish to create. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. The world will rearrange itself to match your internal assumptions. Then your desires will unfold effortlessly. Your mind is the blueprint of your life, and when you consciously choose to shape it with the assumption of your desires fulfilled, you create the life you truly desire. The power to manifest your dreams lies within you, and by embracing the law of assumption, you open the door to limitless possibilities.